Well, my special interest as a neuroscientist is in pain, but I learned quite early on that you don't tell people that you're interested in pain because the discussion goes off in a different direction. So what I do is tell them that I'm a research scientist and that I work at the university and I teach students, and particularly veterinary students.
I knew I couldn't play for Ipswich Town quite early on, so I wasn't going to be a professional footballer. But I sort of slipped into science and physiology through my sort of O-levels into A-levels, through primarily a very interesting, persuasive, exciting biology teacher, Mr. Hickford, believe it or not, which is a name I haven't said for many years. Yeah.
But there's been other people who've kind of been there at various points that have just kind of spoken to me and said, have you thought about this? So Janice Marshall from Birmingham said, have you thought about doing a PhD? Fits in with your sport as well. And there was another professor at my university I'm at now who actually said, go and have babies, which wasn't quite what he said, but that's kind of, he said, don't wait and plan it round. Just if you feel you need to start a family, then go and do it and sort everything out afterwards. So those are quite two major parts of in my life, of PhD and then having a family.
If only I could do a beam me up Scotty kind of thing. Travelling from A to B, you know, driving from Cambridge to Manchester is tedious. And we have grandchildren, my wife and I have grandchildren in Bristol, we live in Cambridge. So driving between Bristol and Cambridge is tedious. It'd be so marvellous if you could just say, right, I'll go to Bristol, bang, and there would be a small flash of light or something, puff of smoke, and you'd be in Bristol.
Science is exciting because the exploration of the unknown is, nature reveals so many surprises, and you always find not what you went looking for, but something different, and that surprise is what makes science exciting.
If I had a superpower, what would it be? To be able to split myself in various segments, so Echo out of Ben 10, because he can then be multiple people in multiple places, and that would be fantastic if I could do that, because then I could get an awful lot more done.
I'm a first-year postdoc at Queen Elizabeth College. I did a set of experiments as a PhD student that were in a thesis, and I had just handed in my thesis, just started the postdoc, and I spent close to 8 hours discussing one graph that then became a paper. On data from several experiments, it was a graph with this Chilean professor who was mad, and we had several drinks, and the outcome of it was a nice abstract in Dundee, and then a paper was written on that same work 10 years later, and that was fun.
Why is science exciting? It's because it's always going after the unknown. It's always the unexpected, and that is what really excites me about my science. But the other thing, I guess, that really excites me is having the young scientists in the lab and watching them develop and being able to nurture them and help establish them on their careers.
But I've always been interested in, generally speaking, how mechanical or, you know, things generally work. Biology, physics, chemistry. Large chunks are boring, but I like to know how things work. So, you know, I used to make all kinds of things, gunpowder. Yeah, I had a bad. I'm sure my parents must have been very worried about me at various times.
Science is really exciting because it gives answers to questions that we still need to answer. And my particular research interest is in diabetes, and there are huge questions that need to be answered there in order to help patients to prevent them developing dreadful complications, particularly of their nerves.
Somebody once asked me what was the film that I enjoyed the most and why, and I said The Godfather, because it told me how to control people. So perhaps in both professional and personal life, that ought to be the mechanism, the answer.
Every step is excitement, really. The nice thing about science is that you're being creative, and that creativity actually feels very exciting.
How do you describe your job when you meet people at a party?
I usually ask, do you have an easier question? No, sorry.